during my before my kindergarten years. And my brother and I were talking the other day, and he says, "Boy, she made the best bacon sandwiches." And I said, "No, she made the best fried Spam sandwiches." And I don't like Spam now. I don't know why I ever liked it before, but she always did such love with it.
It wasn't Spam.
What was it?
It was Treats.
Oh, okay.
Different brand. She wouldn't buy Spam. She bought Treats.
Then that's what it was.
T-R-E-E-T.
I will try it.
There you go.
But Miracle Whip is what I really found, Brian. You're right. Was the secret to why those sandwiches were so good. And I told my brother, I said, "No, it was the Miracle Whip." And he said, "Yep, you're probably right, because we've never eaten it other than with Aunt Macyne." She was a joy and an inspiration, and she never had a bad day. When we were little, they would take us shopping each week. We had a set schedule, and at the end of the shopping trip, Brian and I would always get the little animal crackers. And we really cherished those, you know. Even though it was just a little something, it was really always so special. And that's what Aunt Macyne did. No matter what she did, she just always made it really special. So I just wanted to share that, and we have been to see Aunt Macyne several times over the last few years while she was in the home, and not this last time, but the time before, we were actually very lucky for her to remember us. And we shared some stories, and we shared some really good fellowship with her, and that was just a blessing. God was so good for that. So we're happy that she's in a better place, and she's greatly missed.
Well, Aunt Macyne has a special place in my heart as well. She took care of my son, my oldest son, and he was the oldest grandson and the first nephew. So he was pampered, but she took care of him during the day. She got to see him walk first. She got to see a lot of firsts in his life. But Aunt Macyne had no evil in her. Aunt Macyne always had good. She never said anything unkind that I remember at all. And when she spoke, Richard shared that the last memories that or the last conversation that he shared with the rest of you, I suppose, that he had with his mother about the cousins that treated them to a wiener roast. Mm-hmm. That was George and Mary and I. We had our own little fort, and nobody was allowed to come in until Aunt Macyne and Uncle Charlie got married on the doorsteps of my grandfather. He was a minister. And so we allowed them to come and share a wiener roast with us. And that was a blessing to us. But she was a blessing to everybody. And she was a historian. She knew anything and everything. And she was a very intelligent lady. She knew a lot about a lot of things. And she was a blessing to the whole family.
For those of you who don't know the rest of the story, about the wiener roast.
She's my oldest daughter.
She's Aunt Iva's oldest daughter.
Don't tell anybody.
She's 63 years old.
Been around a long time.
But Mom and Dad got married on the steps of my great-grandfather. And back in those days, you didn't announce your wedding. You just got married. And so Dad went into town. Uncle Bill had taken a load of cotton into Newport? Somewhere. Beataville. Thank you. And someone in Beataville told Uncle Bill, Charlie's gone on the bus to Newport. I think he's gone to go get a marriage license. So Uncle Bill hurried home. And they got married on the steps of my grandfather. And then Jane and Mary, both here, and George, who was going to be here, but he has an operation. He's back in Arkansas. But they invited them, Mom and Dad, for a wiener roast. That was their wedding dinner. It was a wiener roast down in the pasture in the fort. So that's the rest of the story.
Well, I'm Bob Nelson. I'm the third of the babysat kids. Maybe on the younger end of the kids getting babysat, but Aunt Macyne watched me from about the time I was 2 until I was 5. And I remember they had a big braided rug, a gigantic oval-sized braided rug in the front room. And Charlie was a bit of a junker. I mean, he'd keep old things and all kinds of really cool stuff. And the one thing I remember is he, a lot of little kids, when I was pretty active, as you can probably guess, but, a lot of parents keep their kids out of stuff. Those two loving people, they let me have free reign of all of the junk, man. I was the king of the junk pile. I remember Uncle Charlie had a series of pinball machines that he kept back in the closet, and we'd play all these pinball machines or running Hot Wheels around that big braided rug. And she may not have been able to make mashed potatoes, but that woman made the best fried potatoes you had ever had in your lifetime. And I recall she'd make that for me on the drop of a hat. The one thing I knew is that I knew Uncle Charlie and Aunt Macyne loved me. And I think, as a parent now, I always want to make sure my little kids are well cared for and that we're with people that love and honor and nurture and care for them. And there was never a minute of doubt. I agree with Aunt Jean. I don't think she ever said a cross word about anything to anyone. She was about as kindly a person as you could ever hope to be. And kids only have one shot at 0 to 3, so making all those neurons fire and learning, I was so thankful I was able to do that with somebody as brilliant as she was and who loved me kind of unconditionally, even as I grew. And she'd still ask about what we were doing and our family, and just, I knew I mattered to her, and that meant a lot to me too. And I was, I have to say too, so impressed with Richard and his family, and what an example they were to care for her throughout her long life, and his constant vigilance and being there by her side, and what kind of example that is to me as my parents are getting older and I have to be responsible and care for some of those things too. I just feel so blessed to be part of this family and to have played a role, however small, in the lives of Uncle Charlie and Aunt Macyne. I did that within the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Well, I wasn't going to
I was going to tell them about
have anything.
asking us to go to your place, you.
I wouldn't have much to say, but the final word
Country.
on that wiener roast was my potato got kicked into the fire and I went home crying. Went home to Mom. And that was when Richard put that on the Facebook. I thought, oh man, that was a long time ago, but that was a disappointment to me because my potato got kicked into the fire and burned up.
Tell the rest of the story. Everybody's potato got burned.
Oh, I wasn't going to tell that. I was going to milk that for all it was worth. I still got a few people that had sympathized with me. But my Aunt Macyne, she was always, lived next door to her, and she'd always take care of me as well as anybody else in the family. And one thing I can really remember about whenever we had a family dinner, you couldn't start till Macyne got there because she always brought greens for me and black-eyed peas and hominy. That was for me, and most of the time, maybe in some little bitty bowl, but it was special for me. And but she always was taking care of everybody on the hill, family, kind of a family hill. We had relatives all around the place over there. But as a teenager, I was a pretty heavy sleeper, and I would take an alarm clock and wind it up, set it for when I wanted to get up, and stack up. This is when my parents would go on vacation or so on in the summertime, and put that clock in, and then stack dish pans and pots and pans all up, so that when the clock went off, all those pans would fall down to the floor. That would wake me up. That didn't always work. But I could always, always depend on Aunt Macyne, because she, if she didn't see my light come on in my bedroom, it wasn't very long, and tap, tap, tap on the window. Glenn, don't you think you should be getting up and going to work? Glenn, she never raised her voice. Very gentle and a great way to wake up. But she always, if I didn't, if she didn't see me up and around, she always came over and took care of me. But, and you've heard from both of my sons, and she was a great teacher for them. One of the things that they talk about in modern education is, an early start. Both of my sons had the earliest head start around, and I can, I'm thankful for that. But she was a great lady and of high esteem for me. Thank you.
A little bit about him.
I like the way you structured this for rebuttal last week.
You only had one shot of this. But Glenn was a kind, quiet son. I'll illustrate this. One summer, now, we didn't have air conditioning. And I didn't have air conditioning for a long time. She had a water cooler, but most of the time the windows were up. And so I hear at the top of her lungs, and I have a scream, "Glenn, put me down!" So I went to the kitchen window and looked out. And here's Glenn carrying his mama out across between two willow trees across the lawn, and there was a ditch. And he sets this poor little old lady down in the water. And she sits there screaming. And if I remember correctly, he went back in and got his sister. Now, which sister was it? Was it Macyne? I think so. But it was one of his sisters, and he carried her out and set her right down next to his mama.
He would be sitting on my front porch, waiting for me to get home from work so he could go and watch TV.
And I had the only TV in the neighborhood.
He'd be sitting there waiting for me to get home so he could watch TV.
That's right. So I could watch Annie Oakley in the afternoon. That's right.